All right. How's it going, my magnificent sons of bitches? I wanted to go ahead and give this a try for all three of my platforms. This will be streamed on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. For I'm pretty sure, considering that Twitter is kind of screwing up and whatnot, but I kind of wanted to get an idea of how this app is going to work. Probably do a few more live streams, bring in some guests and stuff like that. But I wanted to go ahead and do this video, and I plan on doing a video on the French riots and whatnot, because I could tell you that there's a lot more that's left being unsaid as far as the French riots go. As the riots in France, they're not telling you the whole story behind those riots. You know what I'm saying? Just like they weren't telling you the whole story behind the Wagner group and whatnot. But ultimately, if you can kind of understand, and if you read any other media outlets that are not in the United States, you'd find out that there's a little bit more that they don't want you to know about France that they're not telling you here, you know. But with that being said, you know how they like to manipulate our mainstream media. However, I did want to go out. I've been wanting to do this video. I've been wanting to do it for a while. And this is to come out because I see a lot of people, you know, and everybody's on board with Donald Trump. Whenever you go outside, you'll see these signs: Trump for this, Trump for that, Trump for this, Trump for that, and it's kind of this great deception that the media and people in DC kind of play on people and whatnot. And you know, for the most part, whenever you go back and you look at the party, the Democrat Party, right? First off, you can't really call them the Democrat Party, because in order for you to be the party of democracy, right, to be the Democrat Party, you would have to have the majority on your side, or at least you would think that you would have to have the majority on your side for you to be considered the democracy. You know, the democracy, the majority of the people, right? And to be honest with you, the party has probably been dead since the 60s, the late 60s, um, after we had desegregation in this country. Ultimately, you go back, you look at, you know, and if you wanted to do your homework, first off, we know that the Democrats, they're pretty much the nationalist party. Ultimately, they're social nationalists or national socialists, which would be exactly what the Nazis were considered, were national socialists. We know that the Democrats are on board for implementing communist policies, for implementing socialist policies. This right here is not up for dispute. And we know that the Democrat Party is the national party, or the preferred preference of, you know, our capital, right? DC. They've had an electoral vote since when? 1961, and it's never ever went away from the Democrats. It's never went for the Republicans. You know what I'm saying? So we know that the Democrats are the National Socialist Party. So it's kind of ironic that they'll call me a Nazi, or they'll call you a Nazi just for disagreeing with them. But with that being said, ultimately, you really can't call them the Democrat Party anymore, because the majority has moved away from them. Like I said, you go back and look at Nixon's, the two times Nixon won. He won overwhelmingly by a large margin. You go back and look at the two elections of Reagan. And to be honest with you, full transparency, if we're looking at it right, really, Bush overwhelmingly beat Dukakis as well. All of those elections were considered landslides. Well, we come back into the Bush-Clinton election. And to be honest with you, if Ross Perot doesn't run as a more physical conservative candidate that was closer to Reagan than Bush was at the time, if Ross Perot doesn't get into the election, which I voted for Ross Perot the first time that I voted, it was for Ross Perot. But if Ross Perot doesn't get in, more than likely those votes would go towards the Republican candidate, because Ross Perot leaned more towards a physical conservative Republican ideology. much like Ron Paul. So if Ross Perot doesn't get into the election and he doesn't run, well, those 18 million votes that he accumulated at the time would have probably went more towards Bush. Because if it came down between Bush and Clinton, then yeah, I'm going to vote for Bush, because we've seen the success of their policies under the Reagan years. So now you have Clinton, and he doesn't win, like I said, he doesn't win the popular vote. He only wins simply because Perot's in there taking away votes from Bush. And this is the only way that the Democrats managed through the 90s. Basically, Ross Perot ran again. And to be honest with you, Clinton doesn't beat Bob Dole by that much, if he wins at all. But certainly, he doesn't beat Bob Dole by that much. And Bob Dole was seen as one of the weaker Republican candidates at the time. He wasn't a strong Republican candidate. He was a weaker Republican candidate. It's the same thing with Barack Obama. Yeah, Barack Obama probably got the most the most votes, and in history of the United States, almost 70 million votes. First off, he was well spoken, as his racist vice president would sit there and say, and he was predominantly, he's a half black. He is half black, and it was kind of refreshing. Maybe he was going to do something different. That's why he was something new. And so I understood it. I never voted for Obama because I don't really like Marxism. That's a hipster, trendy, elitist, entitled, college type thing where all these snooty liberal barista workers and stuff are just, up their own ass. It's not my circle, first off, and I don't believe in the ideology or the practice, and I don't effectively believe. So there's a lot of reasons why I, didn't really like communism. But ultimately, that's the direction that the party went, particularly under Clinton, more or less Clinton, and then with Obama. They were going to send it into that national socialist direction because, believe it or not, Hillary Clinton is a national socialist. Well, ultimately, what do you have right now? You have Donald Trump. That's and I'm trying to figure out how, because it's like weird. This setup here is weird. If I'm okay, it looks like I'm looking in the camera here, but then okay. Anyways, so what you have going on is you have, the Clintons trying to take this in to a national socialist, communistic type thing that became the hip thing. You know what I'm saying? It's what they started to push in these institutions. Ultimately, people started to get, especially with the coming out with the internet, right? Like, Scott's here. I'll go ahead and put y'all stuff up if it'll let me. We got Scott here. We got Raymond here. And, ultimately, Emperor Doc, how's it going? We got all you guys here, right? But ultimately, we have the internet now. And the internet doesn't work in the National Socialist, the Communist, because you have so many votes, or you have so many people coming out there putting out so much information now. And they're seeing what's wrong with society. They're trying to prevent the collapse of this and the collapse of that. And ultimately, every communist society, every National Socialist, is usually done with a military takeover. You have to have confidence from your military before you can go ahead and implement any kind of communism, any kind of fascist regime type. And I'm not talking about economically, we're already fascist, and it was, the military, movements and the, World War Ones and World. That's how we're able to implement the fascist economy that we have right now. But they were pushing this communist type movement, but the left never had any real confidence of any of its, key military personnel for the most part. And, putting in Barack Obama and him being so abrasive, he wasn't timid at all, and he didn't do anything subtly. Well, he kind of lost a lot of confidence from the people who work in the departments. And this is the issue that they're having right now in D.C., is that nobody trusts them. If you're willing to go ahead and stab your own people in the back, well, then it doesn't give me much confidence to go ahead and invest into you. So ultimately, you're starting to have a lot more people coming out. They're starting to uh, put out their own stuff, exposing a lot of this stuff, a lot of the hypocrisies. Well, suddenly the Democrat Party is no longer the Democrat Party. I mean, Obama is about as close to, the Democrats actually being a true Democrat Party as they've ever been since the 40s and 50s, probably. They haven't really been the Democrat Party. You can't call a party who gets a minority of votes the Democrat Party because it doesn't make any sense. It's a fallacy. You understand what I'm saying? You have to have a majority of the population has to support you. And a majority of the population do not support this progressive movement. And for the most part, this progressive movement didn't even start in California or in New York. It started here in Texas, and we kicked them out in Texas. They just ultimately went to California. They went to New York. They took over DC and whatnot because they are they're cutthroats, basically. That's what they are. So they've managed to go ahead and implement the irrational bullshit that we see right now in government. So, what do you have to do? Well, you have to put up a proxy like Donald Trump. And like I said, at the end of the day, Donald Trump, the reason why I voted for Donald Trump in 2016, the reason why I voted for him again in 2020, is because at the time I knew that Donald Trump couldn't get any of the policies passed that Barry Obama wanted to get, which was the Trans-Pacific Partnership. He just couldn't do it, particularly at the time. Well, the media attacked him, and this is one of the kind of, I guess, very articulate way of trying to purge your party of dissidents, which is exactly why it appears to be happening right now. So you go ahead, you put Hillary Clinton in. Hillary Clinton wasn't even close to being, she hijacked the party, but she wasn't even close to being the most popular candidate of the own party. Bernie Sanders ended up beating her in the primary. She lost to a guy named Barack Obama. So she's not the most popular. She doesn't garner a lot of, respect from her own base. So, whenever the Democrats put her in office, they ran their proxy, which Donald Trump is a Democrat proxy. He was a Democrat. He ran as an independent. Ultimately, now he's claiming he's went Republican, but that's not the case. We can tell he's not a Republican. We can tell he's not a conservative, and I'll explain why later on. But ultimately, they put in their proxy, right? They promised him all this stuff. All you got to do is run. We'll give you a media, whatever it is, and you're going to be so unlikable because there's always dual. Whenever they put a plan, you got Plan A and Plan B, and they always have both of those plans when they're running both of these plans. So the plan is that Donald Trump, they had to find somebody undesirable, not qualified for the job, that people would not vote for, build up as that heel label for people to attack and whatnot, for Hillary to get in, because she was so unlikable and everybody was, the polling was so high for Bernie Sanders. I don't like Bernie Sanders. I'm not saying that Bernie Sanders would have been a great candidate. And in fact, I think he would have been a horrible candidate. But that's not the point. You know what I'm saying? I mean, at the end of the day, it would still come down to Congress and the Senate. But the thing is that if Hillary would have gotten in, this is why I supported Trump. If Hillary would have gotten in, then she would have been justified to pass all her bills, and you couldn't say anything. This is one of the reasons why it's going to be so hard to get another black candidate in, or to get a female candidate in. It's going to be harder. They're going to have to work harder if they want to desire that position. And a lot of the reason is because Barack Obama got away with a lot, and you couldn't challenge him and question him on anything because he was black, and that makes you racist. This is where you get all this race-baiting bullshit that the media tries to implement into the mainstream media because they want to pass the most horrible fucking legislation And they don't, they understand that Americans have to be guilt tripped into that. Because if I gave you a choice and said, hey, do you want higher taxes or do you want lower taxes? Of course, pragmatically, you're going to say lower taxes because you don't want to have to part with any more of your money. And as I've said before, a dollar is more valuable in your pocket than it is in the government's pocket, to be honest with you. So, they have to use these manipulation tactics. That's all the Democrats, that's all the media, that's all the State Department relies on, is trying to keep you confused, going back and forth at each other. So, that was plan A, was to go ahead and have Donald Trump job basically to Hillary Clinton for him to do the job. He comes in, he loses, it may be a close race, but they went ahead and voted for the lesser of two evils, Hillary Clinton. However, it didn't work that way. And this is where Obama ended up, and this is what ended up screwing up the internet. It's partially our fault as YouTubers coming out, trying to explain the truth, trying to sit there, throw your votes behind Trump. Go ahead and screw the system up. They're not going to expect it. Just go out there and vote for Trump. If you're pissed off about Bernie and you want something done and have these people be held accountable, the best way to do it is to go ahead and vote for Trump. Either way it goes, it screws up their plan. Because Hillary would have definitely gotten away with passing all that Trans-Pacific Partnership, and there wouldn't have been a damn thing that you could say about it. You may have hated it. You may have not wanted to go ahead and give up your sovereignty to these corporations, but the Democrats were trying to do that to you. And every one of these Democrats that'll come out there and, toot their own horn. Right now, you got the new YouTubers. I consider myself old school. My original channel got taken down. I'd be able to get a lot more views if YouTube didn't shadow ban me, coming out and trying to talk about this transgender agenda back in 2017, trying to go ahead and be ahead of everybody else like I normally am on the internet, and trying to do that. If they wouldn't have shadow banned my channel, I probably would have gotten a lot more subs on that channel and a lot more views because I was starting to go viral routinely. All of a sudden, I get shadow banned. I was one of the first ones, and everybody was calling me a conspiracy theorist. You're wearing a tinfoil hat. You're wearing a tinfoil hat. That's what they would do to justify me being shadow banned. And they ultimately, I don't believe that any one of them, I think that they understood what was going on. But, they didn't want to go ahead and, agree with me because they knew I was right. So, that's ultimately what led Obama to drop that H.R. 5181. And that's what ultimately ended up going into setting this up to get rid of a lot of the YouTubers. That's when you started to get your purge, was immediately after that. That's why I'm saying that Donald Trump is understand, he's not a Republican, and he is definitely not a conservative. Not. Because, he would have went ahead, got with Congress, because he had the Congress, he had the Senate, to go ahead and get with the propaganda bills. These little psychological operations are not working anymore, and more people are starting to have to admit, because you've put yourself in a position running so many psychological operations now, that even the YouTubers at this point that want to go on, and mind you that all these YouTubers, for the most part, these new tubers, I won't call them YouTubers because we were the YouTubers that came out, would do videos, do parody accounts, come in, put a lot of effort into our videos. We would do video editing, put a lot of effort to do storylines and to work with other content creators to go ahead and entertain. They hijacked that. They ran a lot of us out one way or the other, whether they used their sock accounts, shield accounts, bot accounts to go ahead and harass, or they went ahead and did like they did to me, did the internet censorship, do the shadow banning, terminate the channels. You can't, I had, 4 Twitter accounts, and this is on Twitter too, by the way. I had 4 Twitter accounts up in the air. This is why your traffic on YouTubers, Twitter people, personality, fucking legends or icons or whatever the fuck you call yourselves, Facebook, this is why your traffic is so low. It's because of the HR 5181, and they're over censoring the internet. there's no real market for you on any of these platforms at the end of the day because they've killed almost every market known to man on these platforms. So, this is ultimately what ended up happening. Donald Trump didn't repeal any of this stuff. See what I'm saying? This is all status fucking bullshit here. Regulating the internet. We already know that the mainstream media is not going to be able to compete because we have a little bit more liberty. We have a little bit more freedom. We can sit here and do rants. We can be entertaining, have a good dialogue, but they're not gonna allow that. They can't compete with it. They got to be able to control it. So with that being said, ultimately what ends up happening is you get in a guy like Trump. You think that, oh yeah, this guy's a conservative. Well, look at what he's done. He's already passed. He tried to pass red flag laws. That was one of the things that he tried to do. He tried to do that with what's that? Dianne Feinstein. Is that what her name is? WFAA is watching. I wouldn't be surprised. But yeah, I'm on Facebook. The only two places I can get comments is on YouTube and on. I actually kind of like the setup a little bit better. Yeah, it's pretty good. This widescreen thing. I didn't know how that would work with the comments coming on the side, but I can actually see your comments. That's, kind of the direction that I'm looking at. But with that being said, at the same time, ultimately, you look at Donald Trump, he was going to pass the red flag laws. He ultimately the mandates, he allowed the 118th or 117th Congress to get away with fucking murder. There's no reason that those people should have even. To be honest with you, this is one of the reasons why we really need tribunals. We don't even need to be talking about an election in 2020, Biden versus Trump. It's gotten to be so dumbed down at this fucking point that they can't get their shit straight. We definitely need to go ahead and think about doing tribunals and just replacing the whole damn thing. But, ultimately, this is, he allowed the 117th Congress. Is it the 118th? It's one of those Congresses. I forget which one we're on currently, but he allowed them to go ahead and rig the 2018 election. Yeah, it was 117th. It's the 2018 election. They've been rigging elections since fucking 2016. You think that Hillary Clinton didn't win the popular vote. They have to manipulate you with that stuff. But whenever you go ahead and look at the algorithms, you go ahead and look at the past elections, you go ahead and look at the numbers and the results and everything like that, Hillary Clinton probably came in third. She probably came in behind Jill Stein, to be honest with you. So, I mean, it's, amazing, right? How bad the Democrats are. So they had to. They understand that they had to purge their party, ultimately, and they're using media propaganda to do so. Your LGBTQ, your BLMs and stuff like that. These people are the undesirable people in the Democrat Party. To be honest with you, all these civil rights groups and stuff like that. Yeah. They're just undesirable. So I mean, yeah, it's just insane. It really is. So you look at Trump's base right now, and like I said before, to be a Democrat, Democrat Party, to be considered yourself the democracy, the Democrat Party, what do you need? I've already said it. You need the majority. That's what you need. You need the majority of the population. And we know the Democrats don't have the majority. The Democrats haven't had the majority for a long time. So now whenever you're looking at the January 6th committee, we can kind of get a good feel of the real organic numbers behind the Democrat Party. And it's not even that organic. It would still be kind of hard to figure that out. But if you're talking about people that are invested into the Democrat propaganda proper, well, then you would have to look at the January 6th committee and the January 6th trials. Well, the mainstream media on 12 networks already exposed themselves because they're like, Well, 20 million people watched the January 6th committee. That would have been something that you probably should have kept to yourselves, because on 12 networks, with all the attention and all of the rhetoric being repeated and regurgitated over and over and over and over again, that number should have been a hell of a lot higher. Should have been at least in the 30s or 40s at any given time, at some point in time. You know what I'm saying? And those would have had to have been original views. It had to have been closer to something not quite as high as the Super Bowl, but pretty, at least comparable to something like that. And none of them were. So we can we can already tell that the true following and the true support for the Democrat Party as a whole of all of their shit is probably about 20 million people. And this is why all of a sudden you're starting to get a lot of your shit taken away, which rightfully the Democrats deserve too. So, abortion, whenever y'all did the little commie cough vaccine thing, abortion went away immediately. And I told you it would. I told you ahead of time. I said, your Roe v. Wade is going to get overturned. It's going to go back to the states. That's what's going to happen. Everybody said, no, that's not going to happen. And of course, I could put my own tinfoil hat. What ended up happening? It ended up getting overturned. And this is why you're starting to see a lot of your stuff that the Democrats implemented. Because one thing, they understand that their party, they're dying. The progressive movement is dead. It's absolutely dead. And so they're going to have to find a way to get people to come back to that party. Well, you already got a party. It's called the MAGA party. That's essentially where all the Democrats from the Bernie bros went. You got to understand. And I know I'm not the first motherfucker to sit there and say this. I know that other people have pointed this out. The same people who voted for Obama voted for Trump. End of story. The Democrats understand this, and they got a proxy right now. Because believe it or not, like I said, Trump is a proxy. Like I said, you can't point out anything conservative that he did. Hell no. Fucking Trump raised the damn debt from the 19 trillion that Obama got it up to 26 trillion. And, so you got to throw a lot of that on, you got to throw that on Joe Biden. You're going to throw that on Joe Biden too? Absolutely not. So, it's not all Joe Biden's fault, So, yeah. Actually, Trump is the Democrat candidate. That's what he is. He's the Democrat. He's actually a Democrat running as a Republican. And, he didn't repeal any of those bad policies that the Democrats put into place. He didn't remove anything. He could have gotten rid of the ACA. He'd have been totally in his right. You have the Supreme Court now. But I heard Mr. Staley voted for Biden. And, maybe he will. Me and Mr. Staley may vote. Yeah, I'm pulling for DeSantis myself, but we know that it's going to be Trump again. The media, and this is how you could tell that the whole thing is bullshit, is because whenever the media tells you to do something, do exactly the fucking opposite. And the media is putting Donald Trump in the limelight. That's because they want you to go out there and vote for him. And now the YouTubers are going along with it. The YouTubers. I won't even call them, like I said, I don't call them YouTubers. These motherfuckers that are on YouTube right now that are making this money are kind of just sellouts. They're the new mainstream media gatekeepers. They're the new form of gatekeepers for the most part. You still got some pretty good channels out there. Don't get me wrong. I think Doctor of Common Sense come back, but a lot of these guys are not the same as they used to. Used to be able to get fucking YouTube was the Wild West. And yeah. So that's kind of where we are right now. So, like I said, the MAGA party, they're not Republicans. They are Democrats. And the MAGA party is the Democrat movement. This is exactly why I'm probably either going to vote for Ron DeSantis or, the better idea would be, and it seems like the most effective idea, would to just go ahead, hold our nose. If it comes down to Trump and Biden, vote for Joe Biden. Vote for Joe Biden. Because Joe Biden isn't going to, the guy's so far gone right now, He's not going to be able to really. I mean, he can barely function right now reading a teleprompter. And so he's not going to be able to effectively do the job that they want him to do. Plus, if you vote for more conservative candidates, I'm probably going to vote for Ted Cruz and John Cornyn again, you know. Um, and then, just have a, loaded Republican court right now, which we have, a more conservative, physical conservative, liberal court. That's actually what we got going on right now. And just start taking a lot of these policies, repealing them, and then having the Democrats have to fight, because now the Democrats have to fight for that right to privacy that protected abortion. They have to fight for that first. Before you can sit there and say that we need to codify Roe v. Wade, I don't want to fucking hear shit about codifying anything until you go back and you fix what you did during the fucking commie cough. When you started doing these, manipulating and using these CDCs to go ahead and back some ridiculous ass plan to go ahead and shut down the American economy. You need to fix that shit before you even think that you can consider codifying Roe v. Wade. Then maybe I'll hear you, but until that point, I'm not even giving you the time of day on that argument. I don't give a shit if you're Tim Pool. I don't give a shit if you're a fucking actual justice warrior. I don't give a shit if you're fucking TYT, WFA. It doesn't matter to me. I don't want to hear any of your stupid shit on abortion. What I want you to do is go back and say how all that bullshit that you pulled in 2020 when people were losing their jobs because they didn't want to take your fucking commie cough vaccine. That's what I want y'all to go do. Y'all worry about that shit before you can go ahead and sit there and, oh, we need to have our right to our body autonomy choice. No, I don't give a shit. I don't care. Don't care. Honestly, I don't. Doesn't matter to me. So, yeah, the party is essentially dead with this progressive pseudo-Nazi national communist movement has absolutely killed the party and whatnot. And so now they understand. They see the numbers. They won't tell you the numbers. I see the numbers whenever I go around and I look at algorithms and I look at certain shit, and I'm trying to see exactly which direction society's going, not only just because I want to know exactly who's going to be in position to win in any given election, but ultimately I also want to know exactly what the position of society, what the opinion is, one way or the other, whether I agree, so I know what kind of content to put out on my damn YouTube channel, which you can't really do anymore because the damn algorithms are broke. So, and this is what really hurts a lot of content creators because nobody knows exactly the mood, the identity, and where everybody is, but fucking China does because they'll sell your information to anybody. So, yeah, The MAGA party is not a true Republican party. Ultimately, we should go in another direction. This is why I'm more apt to side with Ron DeSantis right now, but that's only because he's the only one to, throw his hat in the ring. If Ted Cruz throws it in, I'm going to support Ted Cruz. I'll help Ted Cruz and work on his campaign with fucking Stephen Rose. We'll sit there and work on his campaign, to be honest with you. If he runs, because I would probably be more apt for Ted Cruz over Ron DeSantis. If Ron Paul run, well, then of course I'm going to go for Ron Paul. Ron Paul's a little bit older, you know what I'm saying? But he has the best ideas and the best direction for this country and would be the best president. And following his direction, having him in the forefront and having a stacked, Congress and a stacked Senate, along with a, more conservative-leaning, liberal-leaning Supreme Court would be the best-case scenario for this country overall, a true libertarian. That would be the best direction. Then maybe Rand Paul would be up there as well. I do like Rand. I don't like him as much as Ron. He's got some growing to do, but, I like Rand. I like Rand okay. But ultimately, why not go with like a DeSantis? You know what I'm saying? It would be a hell of a lot better than going in this geriatric direction that we've had with Donald Trump, and that's all you're going to get. And this is all you're still getting. You're still getting the Trump trials. And then you're still getting the Russia stories and shit. And that's all it's going to be. It's because they're failing right now instead of trying to go ahead and build up some real diplomacy. And, they talk about all this diplomacy and how he did all this diplomatic stuff and status, made all these peace agreements and whatnot, but a lot of them are falling through. He didn't do anything for the economy. He didn't make the economy. He left it a mess. And now you're saying that we need to go back 4 more years of Donald Trump. Why would I want to go ahead and go back to 4 more years of Donald Trump? And, pretty much all this shit is already fucking crumbled or crashed. He didn't fix a damn thing. He could have at least fixed the media, at least took away the internet bills and whatnot, so we could have at least a little bit of intellectual honesty. Now there's like no traffic, hardly I ever see, no legitimate traffic on Facebook. It's mostly advertisements. I get on Twitter. Twitter is right now, they're screwing with their metrics and whatnot because they're getting data scalped with people, AI hijacking the information of all the gamers. So this fucking AI is going to sit there. Is this supposed to be Skynet or whatever the hell it is? Cyberdyne or whatever the fuck it was on Terminator? Is that what's going on? The AI is trying to hack all our brains? Then why the fuck are they hacking the fucking gamers' brains? You know what I'm saying? Be fucking, like I said, it's going to be fucking Mountain Dew and Hot Pockets, and that's all the AI is going to do all day. I'm not really worried about AI, to be honest with you. If that's what AI is going to sit there and a data scalp on is the gamers on fucking Twitter. But it is what it is. But yeah, I wanted to do this because I've been wanting to sit there and really get this out there, really sit there and talk about why I'm not on board this time with Donald Trump. Why you shouldn't be, if you're a Republican and a conservative and worried about the physical state of our economy right now, instead of sitting there going back and forth, and I hear these guys, these fucking Trump voters, they think that they're the shit. They think that, hey, we're the fucking shit. And look at DeSantis do this, and look at, I don't like it. They'll sit there and talk shit because DeSantis, put up a picture, whether it was honest or not, of him giving Fauci a kiss on the cheek or something. I don't know what it is. And they said that it was, I don't know, it was photoshopped or whatever it is. I don't know what it is. I didn't see the shit. These people with no lives that spend 24 hours, they saw the shit. The ones that do this for a living on the internet, 24/7, that go over there and, give you their fucking opinions on shit, they saw the shit. But I'm like, wasn't y'all just talking about how Trump released this picture of Ron DeSantis having a beer with a couple of female college students, and you said that he was a pedo or something? Wasn't that y'all's shit too? That was kind of tacky as well. So if you're going to sit there and say that, how dare you stoop down to such low levels, the fucking Tim Pools and the hard bastards, which I like hard bastard, but come on, man. Come on. It's not like fucking Donald Trump isn't fucking stooping to fucking low levels too on Ron DeSantis. Ron DeSanctimonious and shit. It's just fucking cringy and tacky on both sides. Don't look at just one side, that's tacky, and have Laura Luma come out there, oh my Lord. That's basically what you all are fucking doing. But no, it's the new Democrat Party. Fucking MAGA is the new Democrat Party. Donald Trump is not a Republican. He is a Democrat. There is no fucking reason why I would back Donald Trump as a Republican candidate. That just doesn't make any sense. But yeah, anyways, I figured I would go ahead and do this video. I wanted to test this out. Probably be uploading, some videos on here, but I wanted to see how this is going to work because it's going on 3 platforms. Like I said, it's going on my Facebook, it's going on my Twitter, and it's going on my YouTube. So, but anyways, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this video up because it's already midnight already. You people tell me what you think. You like, sub, follow, friend, do the shit the internet tells me to do to get over. And for now, I'm out. Well, I say I'm out.